One. And we're live. We're recording. So, guys, welcome to Club Fed True Stories. I got a real true story for you today. I am privileged to do a little interview with a good friend of mine, Chris, who I did a few years' time with over there at Florence, Colorado prison camp. But he's got a hell of a story, guys. I was lucky I got the self surrender. He did not get the self surrender. So, Chris, let's start off with the beginning of how your journey started. So you maybe talk about your quick try. I know it was wire fraud, and you had to get extradited. And you want to tell everybody how it all started?
Yeah, it's not a problem. And good morning, Sean. It's good to talk with you again. Of course, we're breaking the law right now, but we're ex-felons, so we're actually doing this for educational purposes. So we're all good. Little joke between Sean and I. For you listening, this all started when the United States government approached the New Zealand government and advised them that they were filing charges against me for wire fraud. I had an international investment company, which actually was a bank, a depository bank, and basically the SEC did not like the way we were conducting ourselves in the United States. Good, bad, or otherwise, makes no difference. New Zealand refused to cooperate. So the US government continued to pursue for a matter of 2 years or so. And then finally, my barrister in New Zealand advised me it would be a good time to put another border between myself and the US authorities. So I have a secondary citizenship. I use that secondary citizenship to move my family to that country. It took the United States 3 years to enact an extradition treaty because that country did in fact have extradition treaties with the U.S. A lot of court appearances. The case was dismissed twice, and under that country's law, they have 3 opportunities to seek a secondary charge and try to come back in, which they did. And then finally, there was a prisoner exchange agreement met. And then, of course, the U.S. failed that. So the Supreme Court of that country finally had to overturn the decision and give me up, which they did. That took 3 years. So
That
they housed
must have been 3 years of stress.
3 years of nothing but pains in the butt. I'm in a country that's a little less developed than the United States. So I had my 2 teenage kids with me, plus my wife. Um, it was considerable hardship involved in that, not knowing from one day to the next. Fortunately, we had good relationships with that country's police, and some of them were related to my wife at that time, so that helped. But just the same, it was a considerable struggle. So it came down to where they had to put me in custody. So they put me in custody, which it was like living in a 1-bedroom home. They didn't even actually watch me. So that was while waiting for the U.S. Marshals. The U.S. Marshals, because of the distance traveled, sent 3 marshals, and all 3 of them came. And it was kind of funny the day they got there. They were going to transport me the next morning. So they came the next morning, and there must have been 30 of the police officers there from this country. And they were all looking kind of gloomy and whatnot. And the one of the marshals starts to pull chains up out of a bag, right? Kind of like, an old slave trader or something. Pretty funny.
Wow.
And the assistant commandant of the department walks over and advises him he should put the chains back in the bag, or they're never going to walk out of that police department. So
Wow.
that kind of gives you an idea of the difference between being held and being in the States. So
How
they made
draconian.
they made the agreement to chain me up at the airport. So I'm 70 years old now. At the time, I was 65, going on 66.
You hear that, guys? So it doesn't matter how old you are. The feds, they want you, they will get you.
Well, in the process of trying to settle all of this, my New Zealand attorney made an offer to the feds to basically, since this was an SEC violation, to simply pay the override dollar value for their investigation of 3 years or so. And they were saying that the charge involved $5.1 million. My New Zealand barrister offered 6.1 to help cover and defray the costs of investigation and manpower. The United States Attorney General or his office, the attorney's office said, and as it said to me by my barrister, New Zealand is much like England. They have barristers instead of attorneys, same thing. He said that the United States government flat out refused, telling him they're not interested in the money, they want me.
They want you. Yeah.
Yep.
So I've been told, by even lawyers, do not keep the money. Forget turning it in because it's not going to make a difference at the end of the day. If that, you know what I mean? Yeah, they want you. I get it. I get it.
Yep. We offered $1 million over the cost of what they claimed the charge was to help defray the costs, and they refused it because their whole thing is, and this is true, folks, their whole thing is that they want to prove to the world that you cannot escape the long arm of the United States justice.
Yeah, and they're everywhere in the world. Yeah, no, I got a call from a guy the other day that kind of hinting about running away to Mexico because he's got some charges and he's been indicted, and I don't think he's gonna do it, but a friend of his already did, and you can't run, and they'll find you wherever you go. You know what I mean? You got any advice for people that are thinking about running that are on pretrial?
Forget it. It doesn't matter where you go. You can go to a country that has no extradition treaty, and I guarantee you straight flat out, these boys will come to you saddled up and ready to haul your butt away. And you got no choice. And I guarantee you that that country will, in fact, cooperate in the end. They
And
will.
now they got facial recognition and there's cameras everywhere in the world. I don't know where you could hide.
The United States is really good about making deals. I mean, mine was a prisoner exchange. These guys had a citizen from that country that they wanted back in that country, and I'm a citizen of that country, and they were willing to give me up in order to get him back, and that's what started the ball rolling. So you see, the United States government has a great deal of leverage that we don't even consider. You all think about what's right and wrong with the legal system, and this is fair and this is right, and we have these laws and we follow these laws because there are no rules. There are no holds barred. They will go after you and go after you and go after you because their reputation of the legal system for the United States of America is on the chopping block. They will get their man. Remember that nice rich boy got accused of all that molestation stuff? He ran down to Mexico. I'm talking like a Rockefeller type kid.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dog the bounty hunter pulled him out, and then the government took him away from Dog. And, that was a big thing. You see, but it doesn't matter. He still came to U.S. justice. Running will ruin your opportunity for a better deal. By following the barrister's advice and putting another border between myself and that country, in the U.S., I probably cost myself 12 to 16 more months in custody.
Okay.
Because I pissed them off. I made them come get me. They had to spend a lot of time, a lot of money. So anyhow, 18 hours on the plane back, we landed in LA. Now, mind yourself, folks, I want to tell you, there's a whole lot of humbling that goes on and a whole lot of shock therapy when you turn around and you have to go to the bathroom in an airplane and you're chained up and they won't unchain you and they won't close that bathroom door. And you got 4 stewardesses sitting there watching your naked ass sitting on a toilet taking a dump.
Man.
And you're chained. How the hell are you gonna wipe your butt?
Yeah, how do you?
I'm sorry?
How do you? you know? I mean,
I tell you, it's one of very, very difficult tasks to reach between your legs when you're wearing handcuffs chained around your waist, trying to get in there and wipe that thing down. And that door's open because they can't have you blocked from their view. And then sitting in a row, there were 3 rows behind me and 3 rows in front of me. They moved all the passengers out. It's not like anybody didn't know I was on the plane. And what was their reasoning? We don't want passengers to be in fear. Well, if you didn't want to be in fear, nobody could see my chains or handcuffs. So now you make a big deal out of it. So the whole thing is to shame you.
yeah.
And to downgrade you and belittle you.
Degrade you, belittle you. Yeah.
Yep. And then we land in the airport. or rather we get into the airport, we had to fly from that country to New Zealand, from New Zealand to the United States. In the New Zealand airport, I mean, everybody in the airport sitting there looking at me go, who this guy kill? I mean, I got 2 New Zealand cops. I got 3 U.S. Marshals. I'm all chained up. I got a couple security guys. I mean, I was, you know, goddamn Charles Manson in the flesh.
Talk about
And
surreal. I mean, talk about you can't make this up, man.
no, I'm sorry, I can't make this up. And I'll tell you what, for you fellas who think, oh, gee, that guy's a pussy, I'm no pussy. Fuck you. I'll tell you
So,
straight away, that is nothing but pure scared, because you don't know what these people are going to be doing or how they're going to be doing. And all of a sudden, a person who was making, you know, $2-3 million a year legally and had been for 20 years is now chained up like a dog walking through an airport being degraded in front of God only knows who. So I solaced my mind by saying, shit, I don't know you. You don't know me. So fuck off.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
went and sat down on the seat, and then they brought me a burger, and they wouldn't even unchain my hands so I could eat the burger. So everybody and anybody could see those chains and handcuffs, and they could hear them rattle every time I took a bite. Now that was coming back to the States. When I got into the States, we landed in LAX. They put me in a car with a nice marshal. This guy chit-chatted because he knew what I was going to go through as soon as he dumped me off at Metropolitan Detention Center downtown.
Yeah, that's hell. I don't know if that's worse in Oklahoma City, but go ahead and talk about that.
Oklahoma City is a temporary scenario, but Metropolitan Detention Center is long term. I spent 9 months in that sunbuck. 9 months.
9 months
And
on
you want
pre-trial. That's yeah.
that's my pretrial
Your
was in
pre-trial.
custody. Yeah,
Because I
they
got
refused to give me bail because I had motive and opportunity and money to leave the country and multiple passports. So all of them valid, all of them legal. So they did all kinds of weird shits. Here's something funny, Sean. Give an idea. And I don't know that I shared this with you or not, but my American passport has 27 country visas in it.
wow.
I did a lot of traveling for the bank. And with that, I never had a problem getting in or out of a country. When they pressed the charge for the wire fraud charge in this country, the country I was in,
Yeah.
the American State Department became involved automatically. And the American State Department canceled my passport. Now, why did they do that? They canceled my passport because if you legally are in a country and you do not have a valid passport, you are considered in that country to be illegally there, and the country will expel you.
Oh, so that's kind of a loophole they use to get you out too, right? One of
These
the
are little
measures.
tricks. These are little tricks that everybody who's on this phone probably or listens to this tape later would have never thought they could do. So to this day, my American passport is canceled. And what a lot of people don't know is when they run you on, they call them 28s and 29s, they run your back, they run your ID. Most people, when they run ID from cops on the street, they get a blue screen in the background, says, this is you, this is you. Our stuff as ex-felons comes up as a red screen.
Okay.
So you're automatically flagged. Same thing at the airport with Homeland Security. Anyway, they canceled my passport, and now I got to go through this arduous process of getting my passport back. I have to reapply. I have to go through all the court documents, my
Are
current probation status.
are they ever going to let you
Letters
leave the
from
country again if you want, or no? Are you stuck here?
have to happen after your probation's over, but they have the opportunity to say no. Pardon me. So you're never guaranteed that you're ever going to be able to travel like that again. So my days of that are pretty much shot. But anyway, it's all good. You know, you just live with it. But
Yeah.
like a number of things. But once I got into MDCLA, oh my God, 65-year-old man stuck in the middle of the worst prison movie you could ever possibly imagine being in. I saw people get stabbed. I saw people get the shit kicked out of them. I saw one guy lose 4 teeth with one swing. I was with Southsiders. I was with Cholos. I was with Bloods, Crips. I was with uh, Well, I don't know what else to call them. Hillbillies, redneck boys, you know,
And this is
all
all
in
before,
the
and this
big
is all
stand.
before getting sentenced, all before going to a trial. So you're like innocent until proven guilty, but it doesn't sound like it. Sounds like they've
You're
got
not
you guilty.
innocent of anything. You get stuck on a floor, and there are 3 tiers on that floor, and stuck on that floor. And anytime you got to go to the doctor or dentist or whatever you got to do, when you leave that floor, you know, chained to an eye doctor twice because the medications they gave me messed with my eyesight. And I got there and I was chained up, and man, everybody in that eye doctor's office, a lot of elderly people, they were like gluing themselves to the walls. Here comes the convict, you know. So, and I had 2 armed guards with me, and those guys are private security too. They were contracted. So there's a lot of money that gets spent in the penal system, but the point of the MDC is it is damned intimidating. You're with all these people that you never ever thought to rub elbows with. And if you're a Nortino and there's a Sereno in there, you might have a problem. You know, if you're 133rd Street and there's 168th Street Southie in there, you might have a problem. You know, I've seen people, you know, get their ass kicked over a hamburger. And it wasn't even, you know, it was one of them cheap Walmart type burgers, you know. Now, when I
So
say ass kicking, I'm not talking about getting slapped upside the head. I'm talking about a broken bone. I'm talking a little blood. I'm talking, you know, 6 or 8 officers to come pull them off. And of
see
course,
that sounds like a penitentiary to me, but it's you haven't even made it to the camp or to the sentence yet. Wow.
and I hadn't even been told I was going to be able to qualify for a camp. This
Right.
is the holding facility. They're understaffed, undermanned. They do the best they can do with what they got, and even that doesn't work because they antagonize issues themselves. But anyhow,
And
that's
and
just the simplicity of it.
and they're not making you any deals. Like I'm on pretrial, they come with this plea bargain deal. You don't get nothing like that in your case, right?
In my 3rd month, I got a deal offered to me.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, the deal they offered me was 66 months, and I was looking at 86 months on the sentencing side. I said, that's ridiculous. And I had a public defender because I already figured out it didn't pay to hire a $4,000 an hour attorney.
No, I feel the same way. Not with the
So,
feds. Not with the
you know,
feds.
so in the long haul, what it all come down to after a couple of rounds of negotiations, my PD, and do not kid yourself, the PD, they office in the same damn building, you know, so it's not like some big mystery. Yeah, they all meet and talk, and they have drinks together and have dinner every once in a while, discuss a case or two within the parameters of the law, within the parameters of the law.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And then the deals get struck just like they do in, you know, in New York City or in Auckland, you
Yeah, we're
know,
just
cut
they're,
the
they're
deal with
just
another
willing and
guy.
dealing numbers. I'll trade you 20 on this guy. Give me a year and a half on him, and I'll let you get these two. I've heard it. I've heard it in a. I used to be a waiter at a restaurant, and I overheard attorneys they're bargaining with us like at a poker table. It's unreal, you know.
Yep. Well, that's exactly what my attorney told me straight up. He just said, look, he says, the best I can get you is 56 months. He said, but you're going to have to take the RDAP program. And I said, okay, I will.
Yeah.
And and I'll tell you this right now, anybody out there who's on pretrial, you better come up straight on with I am a drunk or I am a drug addict. And you better have a family member or somebody, a preacher or somebody say, yep, that boy drank like crazy, like your wife. And he was a stock raving drunk, and part of his problem is he drinks too much. Then you can take the RDAP program.
Yeah,
But
and
if
you want
it's
to have
not
that
in
on your
your case,
pre-sentence report, right? Yeah.
yep, if it's not in your case, you aren't getting it. And that
Because I
RDAP,
I remember you had some troubles getting into RDAP. We'll get to that later, and and,
yep.
and, the, and the lady who ran it, man.
Oh, you mean the one that
With your
says
women issues,
I don't like women in authority?
women of authority. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And the long and short was is that I finally got a deal offered to me in 56 months, and this was into my 7th month. I was sitting there thinking to myself, man, if I have to, I mean, at MDC, there's not 1 minute of quiet, not one.
Sounds like a county jail. It never shuts up, right? Yeah. Yeah.
It never
Just
shuts up. and there's plenty of politics going on. Don't talk to that black dude. Why are you sitting with the Mexicans? You know, what are you doing watching Telemundo? You know,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. It's like people are people. Who gives a shit what color you are? But there was plenty of that going on. And now that we had Chomos in there too, and Chomos had no say in, you know, who was going to be the quote unquote inmate representative to the guards. It was just a lot of bullshit. It
So
was
it's just
constantly
they just throw you all together. There's no classification. You're just all lumped in there together, huh?
oh hell no. I'm in there with guys who cut people's throats, guys who sold, you know, 4,000 tons of cocaine, young kids who got used for mules, and then after they got to the border, their own cartels turned them in so they get a bigger load go through behind them back while they're busting the young kid. You know, that goes on all the time. But
Yeah, it does.
anyhow, people who don't speak English, people who do, the Chomos were unbelievable because they were like the gay people. You know, in prison, there is segregation, and that segregation is you don't touch these guys. If you do, you slap one of them, you're going to go to a bigger sentence because you're going to get charged with a hate crime.
Yeah, that hate crime thing. Oh God, don't get me started on that.
Yeah. So, Sean, I don't know what just happened.
Yeah, maybe I'll cut this and we'll do a part two. Yeah, I'm gonna hit the stop this. We'll have to do a part two. I
Okay.
mean, oh no, or I hear you now. All right, I'm gonna stop
Oh, you hear me
recording.
now? Okay.
I can hear
I
you
just
now.
don't have any picture. Oh, I got it. I got picture now,
Okay.
or I will have picture.
So you've been locked up so long they didn't have all this when you went in, so I know it's new to you.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just don't have any picture right now.
Okay, I could turn it off and we can take a break here. I'm gonna stop recording.